Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. Two vaudeville performers, a beautiful singer, and a search for a secret gold mine. This week we're going back to 1946 for an American comedy film called Road to Utopia, starring Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Dorothy Lamour. And this is directed by Hal Walker. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins in San Francisco at the turn of the century. Cutthroat thieves Sperry and McGurk shoot a Mr. Latimer, steal a map, and flee the scene of the crime. While Sal Van Hoyden, played by Dorothy Lamour, comforts Mr. Latimer, his dying last words are, "Someone just stole your father's map of the secret gold mine," and tells her to go to Skagway and see her father's friend Ace Larson. He will help you. Meanwhile, Hooten, played by Bob Hope, and Johnson, played by Bing Crosby, are doing their variety stage act, Professor Zambini and Ghosto. While tricking and conning people out of their money, Hooten and Johnson run off stage just as the hall is being raided by the police. Needing to skip town in a hurry and hearing of the gold discoveries in Alaska, they also board the ship headed to Skagway. With thieves Sperry and McGurk being on board, Hooten and Johnson find the map to the gold mine, overpower the thugs, and take their place and their beards, and get off the docked boat. Meanwhile, now in Skagway, Sal Van Hoyden goes to see the owner of Ace Larson's Golden Rail, a last chance dance hall. She tells the story of a map of a gold mine stolen by two men, Sperry and McGurk. Instead of going to the police, Ace Larson assures Sal that being an old friend of her father's, he will take care of things. In the meantime, he gives her a job singing and performing in his saloon. With Hooten and Johnson now playing the parts of Sperry and McGurk, the whole town is terrified of their new personas, and when they see Sal's singing routine, they both become smitten, and Sal is determined to get the map back. So, does Ace Larson prove to be an honest friend of Sal's father? Does Sal, Hooten, and Johnson join forces against evil to secure a father's legacy? Or does the dog sled adventure prove that there is really gold in them thar hills? Released on February 27th, 1946, this was the fourth movie of the Road to series of films, being 7 in total, all starring Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Dorothy Lamour. The movies were a combination of adventure, comedy, romance, and music. Road to Utopia was the biggest hit at the British box office and was 10th in the list of top grossing movies of 1946. With a 100% rating from the film critic Rotten Tomatoes, this film received a 1947 nominee Oscar for Best Writing Original Screenplay for Norman Panama and Melvin Frank. Well done. And our trivia question this week: did Hooten and Johnson bump into an interesting character on a dog sled trail? Did Hooten and Johnson bump into an interesting character on a dog sled trail? So a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. Well, since our film centers around the Klondike Gold Rush, that's the subject of this week's history. So, the Klondike Gold Rush was a migration by an estimated 100,000 prospectors to the Klondike region of Yukon in northwestern Canada between 1896 and 1899. Gold was discovered there by an American prospector named George Carmack and two men, Skookum Jim and Tagish Charlie, on August 16, 1896, while traveling south of the Klondike River. When news reached Seattle and San Francisco the following year, it triggered a stampede of prospectors, some becoming rich, but the majority went in vain. To reach the gold fields, most prospectors took the route through the ports of Dyea and Skagway in southeast Alaska. Here they could follow either the Chilkoot or White Pass trails to the Yukon River and sail down to the Klondike. The Canadian authorities required each of them to bring a year's supply of food in order to prevent starvation. In all, the Klondikers' equipment weighed close to a ton, which they carried themselves in stages, meaning with mountainous terrain and cold climate, would not arrive until the summer of 1898. To accommodate the prospectors, boom towns sprang up along the routes, including Dawson City, which was founded at the confluence of the Klondike and Yukon rivers. From a population of 500 in 1896, the town grew to house approximately 17,000 people by the summer of 1898. Built of wood and being isolated and unsanitary, Dawson suffered from fires, high prices, and epidemics. But despite this, the wealthiest prospectors spent extravagantly gambling and drinking in the saloons. In the summer of 1899, gold was discovered around Nome in West Alaska, and many prospectors left the Klondike, marking the end of the Klondike Rush. Only a few hundred of the 100,000 people who left the Klondike during the gold rush became rich, and only a handful managed to maintain their wealth. The boom towns declined, and the population of Dawson City fell, leaving gold mining production to peak in 1903 when heavier equipment was brought in. Since then, the Klondike has been mined on and off, and today the legacy draws tourists to the region and contributes to its prosperity. Pretty cool. And the answer to our trivia question this week: did Hooten and Johnson bump into an interesting character on a dog sled trail? Yes, and it was Santa Claus. Yes, in February. Quoting from the film, Chester Hooten and Duke Johnson state, "Well, look at Santa Claus. There must be a department store around here." Santa replying, well, Chester and Duke got your Christmas presents right here." The boys replying, "On your way, Santa. Do you think we're going to fall for that kid stuff?" Santa replying, "You mean you don't believe in Santa Claus?" The boys replying, "What do you think we are, children?" Santa, cracking his whip, says, "Very well, I'll just give them to someone else," as he watches the boys crying like disappointed children. Oh well, there's always Dorothy Lamour. I'd like to give a big thank you to my new subscribers. Thanks very much. Next week for history, I'm going to help out someone who left a comment on my channel, so stay tuned. I gotta go. Chester and Duke need a little help with directions. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope to see you back next week.